Hi there, this is exercise 3b and we're going to look at how to sketch quadratic graphs. Now, one thing about A-level maths is you have to learn how to deal with graphs, far more than at GCSE. The good news is you very rarely, I remember at GCSE always be asking students to draw a table of values and you put your numbers in, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2 and stuff. And you work out your Y values and you have to plot them exactly. Now at A-level it's not like that so much. You're meant to know what it looks like and just do a rough sketch of a graph. So just bear that in mind. We are meant to know how to sketch quadratic graphs. Quadratic graphs are probably the most important you'll see. All quadratic graphs are basically U-shapes of one form or another. So here's a one that goes to the origin. This one doesn't have to, but you'll notice it crosses in two places. You'll notice there's a line of symmetry down the middle. Doesn't have to look like that. It could be, well, it could actually just do that, you know, and there's a line of symmetry still. But notice there isn't a place where it crosses. Could even just cross the once. When I say cross the once, it touches. So these graphs are all the same. They're always symmetrical, and they can be upside down as well. So I don't know, something like there's my line of symmetry just to the left. But you'll notice it's an upside down version. Still crossing in two. It could cross no, not at all, or just touch in one place again. So these are all quadratic graphs. This basic U shape is what we're interested in. And our job is, I suppose, to know certain things about it. And very often it's where these points are. Sometimes it's where the vertex is. So, yeah, is it? If you know where the vertex is. We certainly also want to know where it crosses the axes. And that could be the X or the Y axis. So here. So those pieces of information is kind of what we're after. Now this is a starter which I think is quite useful for what we're doing today. Sometimes you get to factorize quadratics, which are negative quadratics. We just already saw one just then where I said they're upside down there. So, you know, you can get negative quadratics which aren't U-shapes, they're like N-shapes almost, I suppose. So factorize this quadratic, and the reason I'm doing this is it's a negative one. So if I was doing this, I would change the sign of all of them and just pretend it was, you know, the minus wasn't there. But when I do that, I've got to change the sign. So not just the front one, I've got to do it on the second one. And even this one, this is a plus, so that's going to become a minus. Notice the minus became a plus. And now I'm just going to factorize this lot. So what will that be? Well, I'm going to just do this. So I'm looking for numbers that go into 8. So I've got there, I've got 8 and 1, or 2 and 4 maybe. And on the 3, it's obviously just 3 and 1. And what do I have to make 2 by subtraction? And the obvious answer is it's 3 2's. If I do this, I get 3 2's are 6, and 1 4 is 4. And you can see 6 take away 4 will give you the right answer. I'll just move down a bit. So what am I going to do here then? I'm going to do, well, because these are the X numbers, I'll put this one in my first one. And that is attached. You might remember me saying in class that this, that 3 times by the 2, now the outer ones go together basically, and that has got to be a plus, because I want that to be a plus 6, take away 4, to give me plus 2 in the middle. So the other one is 1x, so I'll just put that there, and that one is attached to a 4. But that needs to be a negative 4. To get me the 6 take away 4 is 2. And therefore I've now factorized it. Now, of course, it wasn't the one I was meant to factorize. So on that basis, I've got to somehow deal with the fact that I've got a minus on the outside. I did say that, you know, we change all the signs. Now, effectively, we've got to get that minus back in there. The one to try to put it in is one of the brackets with a minus in. If there's 2, then just deal with just 1, which is, I can come and explain later on. But because it's that, I'm going to make this a minus. I'm going to make this a plus. And it's probably the best way of doing that is to write 4 minus 3x. It's just a neater way. So I'll put the minus into one of the brackets. I could put it into this one, but it's not as pretty. So I'm going to leave that one as it is. And that is my answer. Let's see what my answer says. Can't quite see it. 4 minus 3x, x plus 2. So yes. Now we're going to try to sketch quadratic graphs and using the roots. The roots are the points on the line that you kind of need to know. It's sometimes called the solutions. And it's what you get if you factorize it. So if you factorize it into, and you get, say, x plus, I won't say x plus 2, I'll say x minus 2 and x, I don't know, minus 5. Let's say it was that one. And we set it equal to 0, and then we end up with solutions saying x equals 2, x equals 5. You've probably done things like this loads of times. Notice they are the 2 and the 5. It crosses at 2 and it crosses at 5. So this is what we call the product of linear factors. Factors, linear because there's no square terms left. So this one is just says, here are the linear factors. I imagine someone's given you these. And so this tells me that x is 2. And this tells me that x is minus 1. And notice the graph. It crosses at minus 1. That's that one. And it crosses at 2. That's that one. So when I say it crosses the x-axis. So that's so far so good. Now I also want to know where it crosses the y-axis. And you'll notice on my graph it actually crosses at minus 2. Now I know that because probably in reality you probably got told in the line before what the original function was. But we can work it out anyway. So x times x is x squared. X times by the 1 is 1x. But then I get a minus 2 here. Minus 2x, so I think it's minus x overall, and minus 2 times plus 1 is minus 1. Now notice you can do all of that much quicker than that. All you've got to do is you times the minus 2 by the plus 1, and minus 2 times plus 1 equals minus 2. So let's look at another one. What have we got? Oh, both x and y axis intercepts must be labelled clearly. So yes, you must show. You can't just assume people know that they cross at these places. You need to show where these cross. So notice I did in each case. I'll make that clearer. I showed all 3 points. So here's my next one. Sketch the graph. Now this hasn't been factorized, so a bit annoyingly I have to factorize it. Or I could cheat on my calculator. I'm going to do it properly. 6, 1, 2, 3 and 2, 1 here. And what do I need to make? Well, I need to make a 7. And I reckon that is 6 times by the 1. Oh, that would be 6. That's no good. 2 times by the 2 and 3 times by the 1. There we go. There's my 7. So I'm going to say 2x, and that is attached to a 2. It's plus, so but all minuses have got to be the same. And my other one's 3x, and that's attached to the 1. So I reckon that's what the factorized versions are, and therefore it crosses at x equals a half. And x equals 2/3. Now where's my graph going to show? Alright, let's see. Alright, now look, that's quite interesting. Now this is actually quite hard to know which one's bigger. Actually, I do know this is smaller. Half is definitely smaller than 2/3. So there's 2 places this is going to cross the x-axis. And notice here they are. There it is. Notice I draw a U shape. That is a half. This is the 2/3. Hopefully you know your fractions. I need this point as well. Luckily, it's already been worked out for me. It's the number at the end, and therefore that's a 2. Notice the U shape, symmetrical U shape, crossing these 2 points with the 2, full marks. This one, it's factorized for me. It makes it a lot easier. So I just write here, change the sign. You're basically trying to get the bracket equal to 0. So if x equals 5, that bracket equals 0. This one's easy. It's more normal to see this. So it's minus a half. Okay, so that's my places it's going to cross. What's the graph look like? Well, it's show a 5 on it. Show a minus a half. Oh, one thing I've got to realize is this times this will give me a minus 2x squared. And minus 2x squared is an upside down one. So it's going to look like this. And I want to know this point here. Notice you take the number again, the 5. You take the number again, 1 times together. 5 times 1 is 5. That's my graph. And that's it. That's all you've got to do. Well, good job I didn't draw it here. Does it show? It doesn't show that's 5, but it looks like a 5. It crosses at minus a half, and it crosses. So really, this answer isn't good enough. You need to show those points. Right, and so a slightly different question. It's like the questions in the book, actually. Match the equation to the correct quadratic curve. Well, you can do this quite easily, actually. Look, minus 3, it crosses. Notice that's my first job. It crosses at minus 3. Do any of these cross at minus 3? Yeah, they are. There it is. Now, notice it's a U shape, so it's got to be a positive x squared, and it is. And interestingly, the plus 4x tells you something as well. It tells you if you half that number, it is 2. Basically, it's always the wrong. It kind of goes the wrong way. That it crosses it. Well, when I say crosses, its vertex is at -2. So in all cases, this is definitely number 3. Now this one, what's it? This crosses at +5. Which one crosses at 5? It's this one here. So it's got to be number 1. This. Notice it's a -x², and it's a, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's an upside down one. Plus 2x means, well, notice it kind of doesn't go the wrong way here. It actually is at 1. Because it's an upside down one, it does what it should do, I suppose. You half this number, it tells you where to go. And this one crosses at 1, does it? Does it? Does it? Yes, it does. It's a U shape. Yes, it is. So I'm happy with that. That's number 2. Backward questions, you always get these. Now these are a bit trickier. It wants us to say what the equation must have been. The very first thing I notice is a +6. So there you go, +6. It crosses though at -3 and 2. So I can do these in brackets. X +3, x -2. Notice you change the sign. It crossed at -3, so it was x +3. Crossed at +2, so it's x -2. Now I need to just do a little check on this. Multiply these together. 3 2s are 6. That's a point actually. Notice that will give me -6. But mine crosses at 6. And the reason for that is it's not a U shape, it's an N shape. So I just need a little adjustment. Rather than what I've written, I'm going to write x +3, and I'm going to switch the one with the minus around. I always prefer switching that one around to -x. And if that's true, now my 3 2s are 6, which is what I wanted, and it says write it in sort of that form. So this is x². How many I'll end up with minus. I reckon I get -x +6 if I do that. So let's see if that agrees. Oh, look at that! How bad was that? -x², bad boy, because it's -x times the x. But that is now the right answer. I knew it was -x because I switched it around and then I got it wrong. But now it's right, so I'm happy with that. So be careful of silly mistakes. It's an N shape, so therefore it's got to be a -x². I think this is the last question. I may prove to be wrong. It's a U shape, so that's at least not going to cause me too many problems. It crosses at -3/2. All right. Just remember, you could write x +3/2, but no one ever would. So although that's true, no one's going to write it. X -1, well, that one's fine. This one is the dodgy one, so I'm not going to write that. And the reason is you just put the bottom number of the fraction at the front, 2x +3. That's a much better answer. X -1. Now, it wants it in the form that it suggested here. If I was to multiply this out, I'd get 2x². I'd get -2x plus that. I get +x. And that would be -3. Is that the right answer? Well, it does cross at -3. That's a bonus. So that's the answer. Let's see if I agree. 2x² plus x -3. Oh, here's another one, a backward question. So what are we doing here? Well, we've got here, it just touches. It's one of those ones that just touches. Now, you should know from now on, at least, that when it touches, you get what's called a repeated factor. And this becomes y equals, well, for a start, it's +3/2. 2's on the bottom, so I'm going to write 2x -3. I change the sign. But when it touches, the second bracket factor is exactly the same. It's called a repeated factor because it occurs twice. Now, one thing you should notice straight away is it's got to have a minus there because it's the wrong way up again. And if I multiply those out, I will get -4x². I quickly did this to make sure I've got enough time, plus 12x -9. And it does cross at -9, so that's a good sign. So I think that's probably it. Yes, that's worked. So multiply it out yourself and check that, otherwise I think we're done. Now, in class we're going to look at those, and fingers crossed that will make sense, perhaps with a bit more explanation. All the best.